Welcome to the Digital Talk Show with Arwa. I'm Arwa, your host, and I'm a freelancer. And every week I bring on some amazing guests on my podcast who are killing it in the online world. We bring on guests who have started their journey as a beginner and are now making some big cash months through freelancing, blogging, or any other online sources. So, welcome everybody to the Digital Talk Show with Arwa. Today I have a guest who is an Upwork expert, Ellie, and she is a freelance working in apparel design and development. She helps small and mid-sized brands to get a market faster by implementing 3D samples into the production cycle. So tell us about yourself.
Hi, so I've been working as a pattern maker, freelancing on Upwork for the past 5 years, and it's been a wonderful experience so far. Before that, I was a pattern maker and sample maker here in the US, and I went freelancing because basically my husband's in the military and we move around a lot. So being location independent was really important to me. And yeah, it's just been really awesome. Aside from freelancing, I'm working in basically the area I studied, so I did have a little bit of experience. And I have a bachelor's in fashion design and merchandising, which is essentially like what I do is basically fashion pattern making, sample making. So it includes a wide variety of skills. But it's been so fun, and I've still, I've been able to learn along the way. So, it's a great experience.
That's amazing. Like I know very few people who are into this kind of with this online, especially in the online world. That's that. How did you get into freelancing?
So I got into freelancing mainly because one of the companies that I worked with in-house, full time, they kind of wanted to keep me on board, but I had to go as a independent contractor. And that was kind of like that transition for me. Like once I started doing independent contracting and working from home, I figured I could continue doing this and working with other companies. And the first place I decided to start was Upwork. Wasn't sure where to start. It was either between Upwork and Fiverr. And I had a conversation with my older brother actually, and he suggested I check out Upwork. So that's how it started.
That's awesome. So it's been like 5 years since you're on Upwork, so like the expert of Upwork. So like give us some tips on how can we get started with Upwork.
So it does take a lot of work when you're starting from scratch. I'm not going to say it's easy. You have to do quite a bit of research to see, okay, what other freelancers are in my category. Hopefully, you know what category you want to enter, so you can start looking at who are the top earners or the top performers in that category. Kind of check out their profile, check out how they write. Also, portfolios are so important. You should have at least 3 pieces in there. And that's kind of part of the reason why it takes so much time, because some people, if they don't have any portfolio pieces, they might have to do a self-directed project, which, can take, a couple weekends of your spare time to get up and going. But once you have your profile, then a matter of, putting out the proposals and finding those clients, it can take a bit of effort. And you have to go through the process of getting accepted as well on the platform. So yeah, there's quite a bit of work involved there, but it's worth it, and I do it all over again if I had to.
That's amazing. I think the newbie freelancers mostly they get sad because they get rejected and then they stop trying all of a sudden, and then they wonder that why they are not getting clients. So I feel like you need to keep sending more and more proposals every day so you can see some interaction on your profile.
Yeah, and there's the mystery of how the Upwork algorithm works. And I think they take into account how active you are on there. So if you're on there looking for jobs, I don't know, because it's a mystery, but I think they favor people that are on there more.
Yeah. So The last episode that I did, one of the episodes that I did was with Sylvia. So she is also on Upwork, and she charges about $75 an hour. So she told me that she went through the process where now she's at a point where clients come to her and she doesn't have to go to clients, like she doesn't have to send proposals. So that takes like a certain level of time. So after, like, you have been on Upwork since 5 years, so how much time did it take for you to reach that point?
Yeah, it's a matter of how confident are you with what you're charging. But you don't want to be like, if you're too comfortable, it might not be a good thing. You want to push that just a little bit further out of your comfort zone. When I first started on Upwork, I had doubled my rate and then slowly build up. Um, so on one way you can build up your rate is, if you have too much work, it's time to start charging more. If you're getting too many invitations, maybe you might need to start charging more. Other factors to look at, could be, if you need the money. I mean, it depends on, how much money you need to survive on, and to cover your overhead. I know the work that I do, it requires a lot of software. It's not just Adobe, it's, these CAD programs, and there's a lot of overhead. So, you have to factor that in, especially as a freelancer. It's a lot nicer when you work for a company and they just offer all the supplies for you, but it's totally different when you're on your own. So
Yeah.
all that needs
Yeah,
to be
true. And
factored
also,
in
like, when you're working for a company, there are all other different perks that you get, which you don't get as a freelancer.
too. Yeah,
That's the
that's a
biggest
huge
disadvantage,
factor.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
yeah. So, like, have you faced any like client disappointments, and like, how do you deal with that?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not every job is, it's going to go easily. You have struggle as a freelancer. Always learn from, any mistakes or any hard times. You need to reflect, and it might not be easy to do so, especially when you're starting out. The easy thing to do is to blame the other party and say, oh, well, they were being mean or they were trying to take advantage. But really take a look at, what are you doing? Are you allowing for that kind of behavior? See if there's something in your systems that maybe you can correct. Maybe in your wording, maybe, maybe you came across a certain way in your writing. There's a lot, that you can kind of learn from when you have issues like that or problems like that. And we all go through it. The longer you're going to be on the platform, the more chance that there is that you're going to have eventually somebody that's going to, put up some sort of obstacle for you. But yeah, always, just try to, when you're writing, don't, don't write with too much emotion is a big one that I've kind of learned from, and just try to, see it from their perspective.
Right, right, absolutely. So, like, as a freelancer, I struggle a lot with maintaining a work-life balance. So, how do you deal with that?
That one's really, really hard. Okay.
It's hard for
For
all
me,
freelancers.
I have my office is separate from the rest of my home because I work from home. And I try to keep, work inside that office. And then when it's time to quit, I quit. Um, I have a cat, and hilariously, like, he will come and bother me if it's too late. If it's like past 7 p.m., he will be outside the door meowing, and I have to, okay, I have to quit. So, I mean, I'm kind of lucky, I guess, that he does that, because if not, I'd be a workaholic. It's a struggle. I mean, I know.
Yeah. So, do you have like fixed set hours that you work?
Sort of, yeah, I try to stick to a 9 to 5. I'm pretty flexible. Like, every once in a while, if a client needs a meeting outside of that time, I can move things around. So I do stick to a 9 to 5 as much as possible, because it's
Yeah.
important for sanity. I mean, everybody's different. If you like to work on the weekends, do so, do what works for you. But I like to kind of like turn off on the weekend and try to keep it separate, just
Yeah, and
because
it's
it
necessary as
yeah, you
well.
need to draw the line.
Yeah. So I saw that on your profile there was this one video interview where it said like you went from $8 to $125 an hour. So, like, how long did it take to, increase, and how much increase at each step?
I can't remember exactly how much I increased it, but when I first started out, I was at 35. Um, I did that for let me think, maybe 6 months. I really don't know exactly, but then I worked at 39. So I didn't really increase it that much the first time. You know, that's not a big jump. And I stayed at 39 for a very, very long time. Okay. So now I had several with new clients, you know, every once in a while I would increase a little bit, and then I increased it to 60, and 60 I stayed at probably for maybe a year or so. And then the more recent one was a 75. I was at 75 for quite a while as well. So the 125 price is more recent, and that was just this previous summer. I bumped it up because I honestly was just getting way too many invites, and I needed to focus on the work that I had. And I'm still getting invites at the 125 price, so I'm happy with that. I'm not, you know, I will consider taking on new work at a certain price because, you know, the way Upwork works, they take 20%, so it doesn't turn out really to be 125. And the way I see it, I need to make sure if I'm going to take on new work, that it's going to be worth it for me. And I already have steady work at a pretty good rate, so anything else additional work is going to be a cherry on the top of the cake for me. So that's always nice. But you know, there needs to be an incentive when you're working a lot of overtime. You kind of have to have a reason, because there's nobody that's going to give you overtime, you know, like in a
Right.
normal job. They would say, okay, you're working so many hours, you need to get an additional rate. You know, you have to do that for yourself when you're freelancing.
So, since we're talking about hourly rate, like, do you even charge packages, or you
Um,
prefer?
I do have I do have packages available, but people tend to work with me more in the hourly setting. It gives them a lot more flexibility with the nature of the work that I do. There's a lot that can be done creatively, a lot of different options. Sometimes while we're designing, you know, they might decide to create more or less, and I like giving the flexibility to the client to decide if they want to, you know, add something here or there, or make something a lot more complex. Maybe they, you know, want to add some complex zipper or style or pleat or something like that to the design. And I hate to have to tell them like, hey, you know, this isn't available as an option in this package that you purchased. So I much prefer just to say, yes, we can do that, and it's going to take a little bit longer. This is, you know, how much it's going to take, and I
Yes,
prefer giving them that.
yes, that's amazing. So, like, we're coming to the end of the interview, and I wanted to like tell our audience, like, what is the one piece of advice that you would give them if they want to start freelancing?
Oh my goodness. Okay, one piece of advice that I would give, oh my gosh, never stop learning. That's the one thing. Absolutely. I mean, I went to school and I've taken so many courses online, and it's just like you never stop learning. And that's okay. Be humble about it and enjoy the process, because that just means there's more out there to
Hmm.
discover. So, yeah.
Also, like, one more question I wanted to add. How do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Ooh, I love that question. Okay, I have a lot of great tips on that actually. So, imposter syndrome, you know, a lot of people face it. Um, the way I like to deal with it is I keep a little notebook of reasons why you're not an imposter. I mean, write down your accomplishments. And if you feel that way, you can go back and you can look at what you wrote down. Also, like, write to yourself in the perspective somebody, you know, who cares about you would write to yourself. Like, you don't want to write to yourself in a negative way, and or like, picture your parents, how would they talk to you in a positive way that's encouraging, or from a loved one's point of view. Yeah, I mean, aside from imposter system, sometimes syndrome, sometimes you feel stuck or unmotivated, And I have another list of things just to like, to reset you and to get motivated. Because sometimes when you work from home, it can be also another factor that can keep you stuck. So those are
True.
just little things. Keep a little list of stuff that makes you happy, a happy playlist to listen to, things like that.
So, yeah, thank you so much again for this interview. And it was an honor talking to you. And tell
Thank
us,
you.
audience, if they can find you and connect with you if they have any queries.
Okay, yeah, I'm basically on Instagram. I am on there as Designing with Ellie, and I have a website called Digitech Design, but I mainly hang out on Instagram. That's pretty much where I'll be. So
So, I
feel
will
free to
mention all the
follow me.
links in the description box so you can check it out. And thank you
Yes.
once again for doing this interview with me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.